Welcome to Homecoming Weekend. Homecoming Weekend. On 88.1 FM, WCWP, Brookville, New York.
This is Instrumental Invasion with Mike Chimeri, part of the 40th anniversary of Homecoming Weekend here on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. You know, the first year that we had Homecoming Weekend, it was Old Timers Weekend, and it wasn't even on Homecoming Weekend, it was in December. But the next year and thereafter, it was on Homecoming Weekend, but it wasn't called Homecoming Weekend until 1980, and it has been ever since. We're going to start the show out with a tribute to the late guitarist Chuck Loeb. He lost his battle with cancer on July 31st. So the first song we're going to play is the last single of his life. It's called Happy Hour from his Unspoken album, which came out last September 30th, and it features his Metro bandmate Mitch Foreman on piano. Happy Hour. .1 FM and WCWP.org. It's Instrumental Invasion with Mike Chimeri, the first show of the 40th anniversary of Homecoming Weekend and the 37th year, or the 37th anniversary of it being called Homecoming Weekend. That was Nathan East with 11-8, E-L-E-V-E-N-A-T-E, a song written by the late Chuck Loeb, who was featured on guitar, and 11-8 is from Reverence, Nathan's album that came out on January 20th. Or Nate. That's his nickname. Also on guitar, besides Chuck Loeb, is Paul Jackson Jr. and Michael Thompson, and we'll be hearing from both of them later in the show on certain tracks. Before we heard Nathan East and a song Chuck wrote for him, we heard Chuck Loeb himself with Happy Hour from Unspoken, his last album, which came out last September 30th. Next, as I move away from the mic, is Foreplay. Chuck was the third guitarist in the band, and on this track, he is playing with the second guitarist in Foreplay. Chuck is on the left side, the left channel, and Larry Carlton is in the right channel. Mitch Foreman on organ. The song is Silverado by Foreplay. .1 FM and WCWP.org. Instrumental Invasion with Mike Chimeri, the first show of Homecoming Weekend, celebrating its 40th anniversary. That was Jazz Funk Soul with Tuesday Swings from More Serious Business, which came out January 22nd, 2016. That is made up of, or was, of Chuck Loeb, Jeff Lorber, and Everett Harp, who wrote the song. They made up Jazz Funk Soul. Paul Jackson Jr., at least in the touring of late, is taking over for the late Chuck Loeb. Chuck and Paul and Chieli Minucci were together in a band called Guitars. Instead of an S, it's 3 Z's. Before we heard Jazz Funk Soul and Tuesday Swings, we heard Foreplay with Silverado from Silver, their 25th anniversary album, which came out on November 20th, 2015. And that was written by Chuck Loeb, who was in the left played guitar in the left channel, and Larry Carlton was in the right channel. He was the second guitarist in Foreplay. Next is Special Effects, led by Chieli Minucci. And this is from their album Deep as the Night, which came out 6 months ago tomorrow, April 14th. The song is Night Shift.
The
WCWP Old Timers Weekend.
For the first few years anyway, it's now Homecoming Weekend, the 40th anniversary of Old Timers / Homecoming Weekend here on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. My name is Mike Chimeri, and you're listening to Instrumental Invasion. I'm the first show. Ted David is coming up after me, and then Pat Kroll, and it goes on and on until midnight Sunday night / Monday morning. You just heard Jay Rowe with Smooth Ride from Smooth Ride, which came out last September 30th, although I received my copy in August after pre-ordering it at Jay's Smooth Jazz for Scholars benefit concert in his hometown of Milford, Connecticut. Before that, Special Effects. And Smooth Ride features Mark Antoine on guitar. We'll hear him with David Benoit later this hour. Before Smooth Ride, Night Shift by Special Effects from Deep as the Night, which came out on April 14th. Next is another guitarist, Norman Brown, and his first solo album since 2010, Let It Go. And the song that we're hearing right now is called It Keeps Coming Back. And hi to Bruce Leonard, who called in before I just came on. Thanks for listening. .1 FM and WCWP.org. Instrumental Invasion with Mike Chimeri is what you're listening to right now. That was Pieces of a Dream with Right Back Atcha from Just Funkin' Around. I have to emphasize the N. And that album, which I'm not going to repeat, came out on May 26th. Before that, Norman Brown with It Keeps Coming Back from Let It Go. Not to be confused with the song from Frozen. And Let It Go came out on April 14th, same day as Special Effects' Deep as the Night. And that was Norman's first solo album in 7 years. Next is a collaboration. It's David Benoit and Mark Antoine on piano and guitar, respectively. And this is from So Nice, their collaborative album that came out on July 21st. Caminando, Walking.
The WCWP Homecoming Weekend.
That's the familiar voice of Ted David, who's coming up after me at 2 o'clock. And I am Mike Chimeri, and this is Instrumental Invasion on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. It's the 40th anniversary of Homecoming Weekend. And you just heard the Jeff Lorber Fusion with Hyperdrive from Prototype, which came out on March 24th. That is one of 2 songs on the album without Jimmy Haslip on bass. Nathan East played bass on that. The other track on Prototype without Jimmy is Park West. Chuck Loeb played melody guitar on that, and Paul Jackson Jr. played rhythm guitar. Before that, David Benoit and Mark Antoine. David Benoit, actually, he hosts a show on another 88.1 FM in Long Beach, California, interestingly enough. So David Benoit and Mark Antoine with Caminando, which means walking in Spanish, and that's from So Nice, which came out on July 21st. The title track is more commonly known as Summer Samba, do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, and so on. Now, there'll be days where I'm caminando, and then there's days where I'm corriendo. Like yesterday, I ran on the treadmill. In fact, I try to run as many days as I can a month. So now that I've gotten that tidbit out of the way, let's head into hour 2 with Peter White and a song that came out 50 years ago, put out by the Young Rascals. It's the title track to Peter's 3rd cover album, Groovin'.
It's Homecoming Weekend here on 88.1 FM, WCWP, Brookville, New York.
This is hour 2 of Instrumental Invasion with Mike Chimeri on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. You are still listening to Peter White with Groovin' by the Young Rascals from Groovin', which came out last October 28th. Featuring Rick Braun on trumpet. Now, Peter, Rick, and David Benoit are going to be part of the Dave Kaz 20th Anniversary Christmas Tour, which is coming to Tillis Center on Saturday, December 2nd at 8 p.m. I'm going. In fact, I'm going to go to Will Call after the show to get my tickets, which I bought last month. Now, hour 2 begins with Boney James and a song that came out, a song from an album that came out September 1st. And it's a song you can set your watch to. The album is Honestly, and the song is Tick Tock. 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. Herb Alpert with the third version of Flamingo that he has done in his career. And that third version is from Music Volume 1, which came out on July 28th. That song is a jazz standard originally recorded by Duke Ellington. And Herb originally recorded that with the Tijuana Brass on SRO in 1966. Then a solo Jeff Lorber arrangement on Second Wind in 1996, and then finally this third version on Music Volume 1. Before that, hour 2 began with Tick Tock by Boney James from Honestly, which came out on September 1st. This next song came out on June 30th, and it's the title track to bass guitarist Julian Vaughn's Bonafide album. It features Steve Cole on sax and Nicholas Cole, no relation, on keyboards.
The WCWP Old Timers Weekend.
Yes, or Homecoming Weekend, as it's known now, but it did start out as Old Timers Weekend, and I always love playing that liner. I, Mike Chimeri, Instrumental Invasion, 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. Nick Coleone with Uncle Nick from The Journey, which came out April 1st last year. That was written by Nicholas Cole, who also handled the keys and the programming on that track. And before that, a man who can certainly call Nick Coleone Uncle Nick, Julian Vaughn with Bonafide from Bonafide, which came out this June 30th. That also features Nicholas Cole on keyboards. You know, interestingly, the song by Nick is called Uncle Nick, but Julian isn't on it. But Julian is on Bonafide. It's his album, it's his song, and that also featured Steve Cole, no relation to Nicholas, on saxophone. Now, where am I going next? I'm going to Cindy Bradley from her Natural album, which came out March 31st, featuring Paula Atherton on alto sax. Appropriately enough, it's called Girl Talk. .1 FM and WCWP.org. Herman Jackson with One More Time from The Cool Side, which came out last December 19th, 6 days before Christmas. Before that, Cindy Bradley with Girl Talk, featuring fellow woman Paula Atherton on alto sax. Cindy plays trumpet and flugelhorn. And Girl Talk is from Natural, which came out on March 31st. Here's a song from an album that came out. Oh, sorry, that was Cindy Bradley again. There we go. Will Donato. Supersonic. Came out August 18th, my dad's birthday. And this is the title track. Will's birthday was this past Sunday. Will Donato, Supersonic, Instrumental Invasion with Mike Chimeri. 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. Instrumental Invasion with Mike Chimeri for another under a half hour, 26 and a half minutes, according to the clock in front of me. That was Chris Geith, Geith, with Tropical Summer Breeze from Well-Tempered Love, which came out last September 20th. There was a tropical summer breeze, but now it's more of a crisp fall breeze today, although it is going to warm up again tomorrow and Sunday, and then back to fall weather on Monday. Before Chris Geith, we heard Will Donato with Supersonic from Supersonic, which came out on Bill Chimeri's birthday, August 18th. That's my father. If he's listening, hi, Dad. Here's Najee. This is one of two songs on this show that came out on August 25th. Najee with Stratosphere. Here on Instrumental Invasion with Mike Chimeri, 88.1 FM and WCWP.org.
The WCWP Homecoming Weekend.
That's what this is, and the show you're listening to is Instrumental Invasion with Mike Chimeri. You just heard a pair of songs from albums released on August 25th. The most recent of them, Patrick Bradley with Funky Greens. And that could refer to the vegetables, or it could refer to a really tough golf course with funky greens. Like maybe Bethpage Black, Chambers Bay, Glen Oaks Club, where I was at the Northern Trust, the first event of the PGA Tour FedEx Cup playoffs back on August 27th. Anyway, Funky Greens by Patrick Bradley is from Intangible. And he wrote that with Jeff Lorber. Jeff Lorber played additional keys. Jimmy Haslett played bass on that. All the other keyboard work was by Patrick, piano, organ, Moog, ARP synthesizer. And before that, Najee with Stratosphere from Poetry in Motion. Well, let's make a motion and go back to... that doesn't make sense. Back to last April, Coherence by Yellow Jackets came out, and the song we're playing now is Eddie's in the House. 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. We are in the home stretch of Instrumental Invasion with Mike Chimeri. That was Paul Jackson Jr. with Down the Road from Stories from Stompin' Willie, which came out last June digitally and later on CD. Couldn't pinpoint the date, but it is on CD now. I don't have that physical copy, as they say in the video game industry. I've been watching a lot of video game YouTube channels, so I'm hearing the term physical copy a lot. Anyway, before we heard Paul Jackson Jr., we heard Yellow Jackets with Eddie's in the House from Coherence, which came out last April 22nd. Well, we have one song left, and it's by Ollie Silk from his Where I Left Off album, which came out last July 15th. Take Me Away, featuring Peter White on guitar. And we'll take you away to Ted David next. I have one more show coming up Sunday morning at 4 a.m. I hope you'll be listening then, if you're up. And be sure to listen to the rest of Homecoming Weekend, including Ted David, and then Pat Kroll, and on and on and on, right up until midnight, Sunday night, early Monday morning. Ollie Silk, Take Me Away, Mike Chimeri. Thanks for listening. So long.